Hi, my name is Ali Reza Parashani, and I will be presenting my assessment of Pinellas Park. In this assessment, I will be discussing the history of Pinellas Park, the structures in Pinellas Park, the population of Pinellas Park, the healthcare present in Pinellas Park, the environment of Pinellas Park, the government presence in Pinellas Park, and lastly, I will prioritize and define 6 community problems in Pinellas Park. Pinellas Park was founded in 1915 and was originally a farmland that was turned into a township by an association of Floridian farmers. Through the 1910s through the 1920s, there was an increase in the population due to the construction of railroads and the railroad station. There was also an influx of farmers thanks to the fertile farmland in Pinellas Park. In the 1930s, the Great Depression caused an economic downturn and people had to leave Pinellas Park. Through the 1950s, Pinellas Park was dealing with World War II, and this caused an economic boom for the newly named city. The city status occurred in 1959. The main factors that caused the later growth even today would be a focus on the housing in Pinellas Park increasing since families were becoming more complacent with a commute and a bigger city, since Florida is a popular area to live in largely in part to its communities and weather. The current population is at 50,948. Its amount of acres are 10,424 and the square miles are 16.29. The overall presentation of the structures and housing of Pinellas Park leave a lot to be desired. There are a good amount of properties for sale with unkept lawns and houses that are in disrepair. This is due to significant flooding in the area. Businesses seem to fare much better than residential areas and look adequate in their overall presentation. Based on the windshield survey, there are occupied homes, and as suburban stats states, there is a higher than average vacancy rate for Pinellas Park. There are less people on average living in Pinellas Park, and this is shown since the density for Pinellas Park is 3,204 and the state of Florida is 91. This could be attributed to the housing market being composed of less than average homes and not the best locations. The population also has a large portion of the population that is white and above the age of 65. Pinellas Park also has a much more fiscally and educationally poor population, and this can add to problems in health and limit the access in healthcare. The values of age and poverty can explain why there is a higher incidence of age-related health problems in the area, such as heart disease and cancer. In Pinellas Park, there was also a high rate of sexually transmitted infections, especially chlamydia, which had a rate of 449.6% per 100,000, and gonorrhea, which had a rate of 151.4% per 100,000. This is not surprising since there is a link between poverty and a higher rate of sexually transmitted diseases. Pinellas Park has a plethora of healthcare facilities included for its residents. Northside Hospital is located in the northern tip of St. Petersburg and is the closest hospital for Pinellas Park. There is also a rehabilitation center as well as an urgent care facility in Pinellas Park. These locations are accessible to all residents and accept most insurances, especially Medicare and Medicaid. The AFC Urgent Care has residents pay a flat fee for care that is provided. A key psychiatric facility is present in Pinellas Park and does have an inpatient setting, which is done if a resident is psychologically unstable. PEMS is accessible for both adults and children and accepts most forms of insurance. For the community of Pinellas Park, heart disease is the #1 killer of its population. Because of this, the Healthy People goal of heart disease and stroke can help this community. By educating residents on prevention, detection, and treatment of heart disease, this number can be lowered. Next problem in Pinellas Park is that of access to healthcare services, and this is due to the higher than average poverty population. This can be remedied through community resources to help these lower income families. The last problem is that of sexually transmitted infections, which has a higher than average prevalence in Pinellas Park. The Healthy People 2020 solution to this problem is an emphasis on healthy sexual behaviors and access to quality sexual health services and prevention. The environment of Pinellas Park has many adequate resources and places for its residents. The parks have many activities such as wide open fields, trails, and even stationary workout equipment, all of which is free of charge. The recreation centers of Pinellas Park are able to house major events for the residents of Pinellas Park as well as other major community gatherings. The police department and the fire department have lower than average response times that are even lower than Pinellas County. The waste and utilities management is run by the county and provides Pinellas Park with the energy and water that the city needs to survive. This is done through renewable energy as well as treatment plants, which also provide surrounding communities with the same services. A major area of concern for Pinellas Park is that of flooding, and due to flooding, $776,000 were allocated to dealing with a new project to put in place a better drainage system for the city of Pinellas Park. From this flooding, most houses are markedly higher than average due to flood insurance and water damage, which causes houses to be in disrepair and unsafe. Roadways are constantly being worked on, and due to this construction taking place, there is an increased risk of injury and accidents for the residents of Pinellas Park. The council is made up of Sandra Bradbury as mayor, Patricia Johnson as vice mayor, and 3 city council members. This council meets every Tuesday and Thursday to discuss city matters. Most of what is dedicated at these weekly meetings are budgetary concerns and to see if for the week the city has stuck to their annual budget, and if not, how the council thinks they will fix this problem. The 3 biggest items on the annual budget for Pinellas Park were capital projects, emergency services, and tourist development. The council seems to be steadily improving these services and has not had to make any compromises or cutbacks to stay within the budget. The most important issue facing Pinellas Park is that of heart disease, and this is due to the amount of deaths causing the majority of fatalities in Pinellas Park. With a combination of advanced age, poverty, and undesirable health behaviors, this is a troubling issue for Pinellas Park. The next important issue would be the accessibility to health care, and this is based on the significant amount of the population that is poor and elderly. This means that residents won't go to the doctor due to higher costs and lack of insurance. This is not the most important issue since there is a variety of healthcare options to choose from. The next problem, which affects traveling and even housing in Pinellas Park, is flooding. This is the biggest drain on the economy of Pinellas Park and hurts the city in terms of the housing market as well. This does not affect the health of its residents, so it's lower on the list. Due to the presence of an extremely high amount of sexually transmitted infections, this problem affects a lot of the population of Pinellas Park. It is not higher on the list due to it not having higher systemic ramifications on the populations as much as the other problems on the list. Based on the windshield survey, there was a lot of construction present throughout the drive-by, which is a significant safety risk for the city. This is lower on the list since it affects only a part of the city. The education system in Pinellas Park is not the most ideal for its residents. This is shown when a majority of its citizens have only completed their high school education, and even still, close to half of this group hasn't even finished high school. This does not affect the community's health or stem to other issues such as safety for its residents, hence why it is the lowest on the list. Citations, citations, citations.